Well, that's adorable. Let's crack on. Hello, and welcome to another Mr. Beats Bike video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we're looking at a Panasonic NV-V8000, and this is an amazing machine. I've never actually seen one of these in the flesh before, but what's really cool is it's actually, if you like, dual format, or at least dual form factor, insofar as it takes full-size VHS, but it also takes VHS-C cassettes. Little flap there. It's also got quite a cool front-loading system as well. So yeah, we'll have a look at that. This has come from Joel. It's a repair. Thank you very much, Joel. Hope all is well with you. And problem with it is that it won't play a tape. And I'm probably thinking it's timing or mode switch issue with it. Like I said, I've never seen one of these in the flesh before, but I should be fairly okay with it. Being a Panasonic, I've worked on a lot of Panasonic stuff, so I can't see there's going to be a massive problem, famous last words, other than parts if I need them. The other slight problem with it as well, I'll spot this box on the top, is that the pinch roller is in a box, and that's because it keeps popping off, and the little plastic peg pushes on to the pin that this mounts on is actually split somewhere, and yeah, so there's a split in it which you probably won't be able to see, but it's right the way down. So we have to look at that as well, because obviously, well, yeah, that needs to be kept on. So without further ado, let's take the covers off. So it's actually a little bit hilarious how this machine is put together. So to get the top off, you take out these 4 screws, and then you slide this forward and it comes off. But then you have what I would call standard sort of a standard cover, slightly drawn by this mechanism, which is really quite cool. Sort of soft opening. Anyway, yes, I digress. Okay, so there we have it. So yeah, it's out of time. Hopefully there's no broken gears, but does it? Are these still attached? Yeah, they are. So we've got a timing issue. Liking this belt. So it's got a nylon toothed belt, which is pretty good. A little bit of slack on it. Uses a power transformer as well. It's worth noting, actually. It's not a switch mode power supply, which is probably well, reliability wise, I don't know. And the front loading system motor, that appears to be gear driven as well, so there's no real belts in it at all. I think it's only just that one nylon toothed belt, which is really cool. I mean, these are so well built. Prosumer, I think I would call it. But it does have a fan. Well, it has a fan housing. I don't know whether there's actually a fan there. Yeah, it's just a fan housing, I think, but no fan. So yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if there was variants. Maybe there was one with a switch mode power supply, or I don't know, or for different markets. But I'm going to see if I've got a new pinch roller assembly, because that would just sort it once and for all. So yeah, I'll do that now. I do. I have a brand new old stock pinch roller, so that's really good news. I've also got one or two mode switches as well if we do need them, so that's quite handy. So yeah, let's get this fitted. Okay, so a little bit more tricky because there's a wire in the way, but pull back on the tab, release that, and I want to pull that off. Ooh, what's going on there? That's all apart. Really want to pull that off because that is timed. So there's the mode switch there, which, oh, that's wrong as well. That's, oh dear. Okay, so I'm going to have to time this. Yeah, so what I need to do really is time it, because this is wrong. It is actually slightly different, because it's a slightly different deck. But what I'll do is I'm going to rob the plastic off this one. And then when I get another one, I can rob the plastic off that, as long as that hasn't split. But I think that's the way I'm going to go with it. I think the pinch roller itself is identical. Yes, it is. It's identical size. So I'll use the pinch roller and the peg off this, and then we'll be good to go. That pinch roller is decidedly very worn. So yeah, so I suppose we ought to look underneath and to see what's going on with the timing. So taking the bottom off is much simpler. It's just the usual standard Panasonic screws, gold screws, usual Panasonic gold screws. But yeah, it's quite a lot under here, unsurprisingly. So it's got the ribbons here, which I think are for the front, or they might be interconnects to another board. Not sure yet. Be a bit careful of these as well when we put it back together, that they do actually sit. They don't end up floating about. Digital processing, I'm guessing. Do these have a TBC? I think maybe they do, which is why they're so cool. Also useful. Don't know, I'll have a look. It's certainly a full feature machine. So, lots of modifications done to it as well. Look at all this. You know, just when you think Sony's bad. So, let's get into this. Now, the manual suggests that it's actually an idea to take the deck out. But I'm gonna just take this off, or open this up, and just see where we get to. I am doing all of this cold, so I've barely looked at the manual. Like I said, I've never seen one of these machines before. So, you know, we're sharing this moment of exploration. So look at that, that's beautiful. But everything seems to be okay. It's going to be one of those things where I need to sort of wind it through to make sure there's no teeth stripped or broken or cracked. I see this could be a nightmare actually for gears failing as these machines get older and plastics get more brittle. I'm just sort of a bit intrigued why it's failed. So we've got all of the mode sort of selection gear type stuff going on up here. So let's lift the camera up here. Moving arms and for the different modes. It's all gear driven, no belt of course. So yeah, I mean it's really, really cool, but oh gosh, yeah, I can see why you need to take the deck out, to be honest, why they say to do that, and ideally you need the extensions as well to test it, the extension leads. So you do like a couple, I think it's 2 or 3. Like I said, I've not really read the manual. I should really. That allow you to run the deck outside of the actual machine itself. So I do need to time this, and I need to sort out what's going on with the lacing and check there's no stripped teeth, and then we should be fairly good to go, I think. Yeah, maybe we'll end up just taking the deck out, to be honest, so we can have a good look at it. So yeah, I'll have a think on that, and we'll crack on. So I've fully unlaced the mechanism, basically by turning the motor pulley that way. Sort of unlaces everything, and everything has gone back perfectly. It's all in time. I will check underneath. I've got the manual, so it does actually give a really good diagram of where everything should be in the unload state. So I just need to tighten this up, which is not too painful at all. I was daft when I took this pinch roller assembly off. It's not like the G-Decks where it is sort of a little bit more captive, like the assemblies, because there's a plastic bit and then the main sort of plastic bit, if that makes sense. So this came off, just flew off, because it's not held at all. So you have to be a bit careful removing it if you're going to remove it, which of course I had to, because it does bring with it the gear that drags it down into position. So this thing here. So I'll have to retime that, but that's fine. Not too concerned about that. So, I mean, providing everything is okay, I don't see any reason why this shouldn't work. Get that pinch roller back in. I do just wonder if somebody sort of, I don't know, the pinch roller holder retainer sort of cracked and fell off, or the pinch roller fell off as a result of that. I don't know. It just seems a bit odd. And they did the same thing I did. Basically just pulled this off and knocked it all out of time, and that's what happened. But yeah, we'll check underneath anyway and just compare it with the manual and give it a go. Okay, so I've followed the manual, but unfortunately the manual is not actually strictly exactly the same as what's in the actual deck. But I have lined it up from what I remember with G-Decks and how Panasonic do things. I've checked underneath. It's limited what I can actually see without taking things apart, which I'd rather not do. I think I'd rather take the risk and try it. I'm going to turn it on, see what happens. Let's hope everything will go okay. I found an old cold kettle. Okay, well, I think that's okay. So if I turn it on, I might be getting confused because of the light, maybe. But, well, nothing's making a horrible sound. So, yeah, that's a good start. Maybe I ought to try a cassette. I do wonder if it is out of time. I was being a bit too over-hopeful. Yeah, because it's shutting itself down. And it's trying to drive the motor. And then shutting down. So it's obviously there's still something not right with this. It all looks okay. But obviously isn't. Okay, well, I'll do some more checks, I think, and see what's going on. Okay, so I've actually, well, I disconnected the motor and used a screwdriver and a PP3 battery just to drive the motor for the front loading system to just get it so it's properly parked, which it now is, but I think that's where the problem is. I think the timing between the front loading system and the deck is out. If I turn it on, it's driving the rear motor still. This is not doing anything at all. It's not attempting to run the motor. When I tried to drive this, it made a sort of quite a clunky sound, which could be to do with the way the carriage is moving, because there's quite a lot going on with this front loading system. But I just think it might well be out of time. It's not making any attempt at all to take a tape in. It wasn't making any attempt to finish the unlacing, the unloading, the carriage unloading. You know, something's not right there. So I have a feeling we might end up taking this out, which could be interesting, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Let's crack on. Okay, so just thinking some more about this, because of course it is a dual format, if you like, machine. All I've really done is I've driven it from being VHS-C to full-size cassettes. So I don't know whether I've actually really done anything other than just change the format style. I mean, if you look at the front, saying full-size standby on the front, if I turn it on, I mean, it's still struggling to do something. So I just wonder if the deck is just that little bit out of time. But it's also why has it done it? And I just wonder if it is that somebody did try and take that capstan off before, the pinch roller off before, but it seems a bit crazy that that would be all it is. I don't know. I mean, it's still timed correctly. Nothing's knocked out. Everything looks fine. So, yeah, it might be worth me just seeing which way this motor's going as well, because that will give me a clue. Because if it's going this way, then it's still trying to unlace the mechanism. So, yeah, I might just try that. Yeah, it is. It's still trying to unlace. So, okay. I shall investigate further. Okay, so I've done a bit off camera and got a bit carried away. I've actually taken the front off, which I actually needed the manual for. It's a lot of screws. It's all the red screws, basically. But you do also have to pull out, oh, you don't actually have to pull out these two. I pulled these out thinking I needed to, but you do need to pull out the 3 ribbon connectors at the bottom. So yeah, that was a bit of an odd one, but it's basically all the screws. Oh, I don't think you actually need to take out all the screws down the side. I'll have a look at that because the manual says to take them all out, but I don't think you need to. I think it's just literally the top two, and then I think that's actually all you need to take out. We'll have a look. When we put it back together, we'll have a look. Because I think the manual's wrong again. I think it's telling me to take out a lot more screws than I need to. Because it said about taking out this screw. And it's just like, you don't need to take that out. So, it's like those screws there, it told me to take those out. And I don't think I needed to. I think it was just literally that top screw, which are these really long screws, are the only screws that actually hold the whole front on. So, but we'll have a look at that. I think I was a bit misled. I've taken the front loading system off. That's actually really easy. Red connector, and then it's just 4 screws. These are a little bit tricky to get to sort of shine a light in through the back, so I could see where I was putting the screwdriver. I had to use my extra. You don't need one this long. It's a bit, but you need one longer than that. So yeah, so I just really wanted to see really close up how well I've timed this. I think I've got it, could be a little bit out actually, could be 1/2 out on the mode switch, though it lines up. But I'm a bit confused by this here, because I'm expecting to see a hole. This is pointing in the right direction, I believe, but that's purely from memory. That's not from the manual, because the manual reckons it should look like that. I should have a hole here. Oh, it does actually show it. There's that little bit of plastic there, so that's correct. There's a hole on the other side of this, which is lined up, and the hole on the cap down, pinch roller down, is lined up. So I know that's all okay. I'm fairly confident underneath is okay, but I no doubt will be checking that. Both the take up are properly back where they should be, in the home position, unlaced position. So it should be okay, but of course we are still getting problems with this trying to unload. So yeah, I'm going to do a bit more investigation, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So I think the deck is actually out of time, so we're going to have a look underneath, but I'm just going to wind it by hand. So to lace it, or to load it and then lace it, the cassette, because obviously it goes into like a half wrap, so it can, when it's on, so it can get codes off the ACE head. So spinning the motor this way, so this way is back, that way is up, or lace, or load, or half load. So here goes. I'll speed this up. Okay, so you can see here that these are moving, and they shouldn't be doing that. These should still be back here. So you can see the capstan is being engaged with the pinch roller, or the pinch roller is engaging with the capstan. Ooh. Yeah, that's out of time. Yeah, I've just pinged a tooth, I think. Hopefully I haven't broken it. But yeah, that's out of time. Well and truly out of time. So I don't know. It might be one of the decks. I don't know this machine. You know, I'm not pretending I've worked on any of these type of machines before from Panasonic. I mean, I've done G decks, and the later variants of the G deck, that style. This concerns me because it looks slightly out of sync, although they seem to park up okay. But it's like this section is too far advanced. I just hope that it isn't stripped teeth, because if I just sort of jumped a tooth then, winding this, and I wasn't putting a lot of pressure on that, I just wonder what's actually, if there is any damage. But we'll see. I'm keeping the faith. And we're actually not that far from actually getting this whole deck out. So I'm wondering if I do that. I think I've only got one screw and then all the connectors, and we can actually remove the deck. Okay, so that actually wasn't too bad. 2 screws at the front, 1 at the back here, and then undo the grounding strap from there, connector there, connector for the ace head, and that sort of goes through a little cable management here, and this out the side of the can, although you don't actually need to undo that, because when you undo the 1 screw for the grounding strap, and then this side, this lifts off, so you can then undo that. So it's actually really easy. It's actually really good. But I mean, I'd already unplugged it, so it's out the way. I mean, I suppose I could put the can back over the back there, but yeah, so I can just whip this out now. Except you also have to unplug this connector here. This is for an optocoupler, which I believe is sensing the I think it's taped down, it might be taped down, not sure, of the front loading system. And then we've got this long connector here, and then we've got two plug-ins here, and I'm doing what I didn't want to do, which is, I don't know whether they pull up. No, they don't. Is dealing with these blinking things, because they are an absolute pain. Or can be. These seem okay so far. Not had any real problems with them. So yeah, I did put the screws back in the deck incidentally before I turned it over. So yes, I should now be able to rest this back down and then turn it over, and we should be good. Okay, so this one at the back. Have I caught that connector? No. Oh, and I've missed another connector. So had to, didn't I? There we go. Fantastic. The deck is free. Oh, good grief. That glue just looks terrible. It's just, what a mess. This hot glue here. Anyway, I'm sure they had their reasons for doing that. But yeah, it's actually, it isn't that terrible. I know I really didn't want to mess about with those ribbon cables, but fair play, they seem pretty solid, and they seem to have a fair bit of flexibility still in them. I don't think they're going to crack, famous last words, but yeah, I suppose we ought to have a look at the timing. Okay, it's time to time the deck. Not quite sure what I'm going to find with this, but yeah, I'll turn it over, and what I'll do is I'll mount the camera sort of so you can see what I'm doing. I also have to be careful of these things. They're still making me very nervous, especially when you see them go at those sort of 90-degree angles. So much strain on the copper. I just don't want to catch them, but it is what it is. We've got to get it going, so you know, be as careful as I can, but yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take this plate off. It looks to only be held on with 2 screws. There's no clips or anything, which slightly surprises me. I would have thought maybe they might have put at least a couple of clips on to give it a bit of extra fastening. Whatever. That's the plate off. Now we are in the unlaced position. So according to the diagram, check this unlaced position. Yeah, so there's a dot there. And there should be a dot here, which I can't see. Unless that's it there. No. Oh no, that's completely wrong, actually. Or is it? Can't actually see a dot on any of it. So it could be a tooth out, but this is not quite in the right place. Which does sort of make sense, actually. There's supposed to be a hole on this gear that lines up with the hole there. So that's that way I want to go. Let's just see where that lands. Right, so that would suggest that's in the right place. There's a great big bit of grease there, so the hole could be underneath that. Ah, yes, now see the hole there. So it is actually slightly out. Ah, I can see the hole there. So yeah, this is slightly out, or this is slightly out. Oh, and I can see the hole there. Right, okay, we know what we're doing now. So I think this just lifts off. It's not held on by anything. So, which way? It's that way. Oh, of course, I haven't got anything there, have I? So that should be like that, or somewhere near. We'll line that up as we go along. That's good. So we need to get this portion here timed now. Yeah, because I wasn't actually seeing that the drive from the motor goes through to here to this. There's a cammed gear there to this drive mechanism, which then drives this. So this is now correct. There's a hole there, you can't see it, but there's a hole on this plastic gear, which aligns with the hole here, and it does. Aligns perfectly, actually, which is great. Then we've got the hole here in this gear, and that will roughly align. Like I say, we'll get that right when we put this gear back on. but I now need to get this section timed correctly. And I'm hoping that it itself is actually in time. So what I'm going to do, we've got a center hole here, which again you can just about see, and that needs to be over here somewhere, but there is also a little hole somewhere. Where will that be? Should be here somewhere. It's like they put grease on where the alignment holes are. So I can see the half wrap is moving. Now I don't know whether that's right, because I thought it should be in the unlaced position, but yeah, so I think, although unless I'm doing this the wrong way. I can see the two dots there and there for the this gear, and that is lining up. I think that's the dot. Yeah, there's the dot there. So that is lining up. So that gear's okay. And there is actually a hole in the deck for this hole. So this hole here will actually go right the way through to the deck. So you know you've got it right. So hole there. Just about see that. And that should go through, which it does. So that's aligned. So I'm just checking. I think this must be in the half laced position when it's timed. The only other thing I can think of is whether this needs to come right the way back round, but I can't see that it does. Let's just try it. Yeah, that's it. That's as far as it goes. Right, so this goes into the half laced position. That's fine, I can work with that. Went right to the end of the travel. So let's get this back. There we go, so straight line, dot to dot, hole through. There, magic, that's good. So we know that's right. So now try and find a hole on this far gear, which is actually correct. And then it's going to be almost impossible to show this. And we've got a hole there, which should line up with the hole on controller down, which it actually does. I will try and show this. It's not easy. Yeah. And then, oh, that's it. And then we put this gear back on to line up with that. It's actually a line and a hole there. So that should be timed. Yes, let's just run through that. So, hole there. Get it in focus. Hole there, see right through the deck. Then we've got little hole there, which probably can't see because of the grease, and a hole there. And then that's got to be pretty much in a straight line, which it is. Hole there matches up with that hole there. You can see it's filled with grease. So that's correct. And then here, the holes there, if we can get some focus. And that lines up with a hole there. You can just about make it out there. So that's correct. Everything's correct. And it was just literally this part had gone out of time with this part for whatever reason. And that's always the thing. Why has it done that? So it does actually go in a part lace, which is interesting. I sort of wondered about that. I wondered if it needed to do that, because this is in like VHS mode when it's like this, and C mode I think it has to pull right the way back, pull this right the way back, so it can fit in the shell. So it sort of makes sense. I don't know why I didn't notice that before, that just how far back those arms potentially can come for VHS-C mode. So yeah, I suppose we ought to put this gear back on, and we all look good. I'm just checking these things as I go along as well. There we go. So that's all aligned as it should be, which is great. So I suppose put this plate back on, and how did that go? Like so. And that should be right, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, it's all checking out fine, so yeah, super. Okay, so looking at the top, and I have got my gloves on because it's quite greasy. The grease is great. So I need to line this up. So this hole here is up here. So I'm just going to lift this up a little bit, turn this so it's somewhere near, and I'm going to take this off. I sort of didn't want to take this off, but in fact, let's take the whole lot off so I didn't separate the plastics again, but that's fine. So we've got a little hole there, and that goes there. Now, mode switch, big protrusion, needs to match up with that dot, and this, because I was sort of on the diagram, it shows like big protrusion here, small protrusion directly opposite, and it isn't. On this one, there's a hole in the PCB for the mode switch, and that needs to line up so the hole is between the teeth, directly aligned with that small protrusion. So it's different to the manual. So, and that's me actually remembering something from when I used to do GDEX. That is bang on where it should be. Dot on this gear through. I mean, we know that's going to be right, but that's where it's pointing. Then we've got a line there that points to the dot. So that's absolutely correct now. Let me just show you that. So you've got sort of a lined bit on the gear, and you can see that it's pointing directly to the hole, so that's correct as well. And dots, the angles, when you look straight down, it actually looks a lot more accurate, but dots to big protrusion with the gap in the mode switch there. We've got small protrusion to the hole, so that's correct. So we should now be able to put the capstan assembly back on, and yeah, we should be good to go. So I had to force that down a little bit. It wasn't actually an awful lot to force it down, but still it sort of just needed to be a little bit of pressure on that. And oh, doesn't knock that out, is it? Yes, I have. I've knocked it out. Oh dear. So line that back up. It's lined up. That's lined up. Right, we'll try that again. I was just wondering if I've done something a bit wrong with the actual pinch roller. Yes, I see. So that pushes. It's almost like an anti-jam. So that should be right. That's looking right. That's looking right. Let's put that back on. That's how it's supposed to go. And that's sitting correctly. That's still all lined up. That's all still lined up. Super. So, time to put it back in the machine. Okay, so by way of testing, and I didn't show it, sorry, I have actually wound this right the way up. So this is fully laced as if it's going to play a tape, pretty much. I've not done the last bits, but it's enough to convince me that we are okay. So let's unlace it. So that's it, fully unlaced, but in VHS mode. I'd keep on going to go to VHS-C. So I'm now going to wind this back the other way and just get it back to that parked position. So tape on its half lace, and with the mode switch back where it was aligned. There we go. So that is not quite. I'm a tooth out. I don't know whether this matters. I mean, I'm putting this back to like its timed position, with the thought of obviously putting the front loading system back on. I'm pretty confident this optocouple, and we'll have a look as we put it back together. This actually tells the deck whether the carriage is up or down. So obviously it's up at the moment in VHS mode. So yeah, we should be okay, I think. And the deck will be aware of that. So what I'm expecting at this point, and I don't know, but what I'm expecting is when this is powered up, it'll unlace the deck fully, and then that's it. It's ready to go, and I should be able to push a cassette in. But we've got no grinding gears. Mechanism feels really smooth right the way through the lacing and unlacing procedure. And yeah, I'm really happy with it, to be honest. So yeah, let's get it back in the machine. Okay, so machine's back in place. I'm just being very mindful of the connectors. The only one I'm slightly wondering about is this one on the side here. It goes to the optocoupler. Where does that actually need to route? It looks, because I can't remember, it's been a couple of days since I've done this. Does it go onto the housing? It sort of feels like it should, sort of like that. I think I'll go with that because I can pull it back through. So I'm just being super careful of those ribbons. Need to go like so. So that's located fairly well. And I'm tempted to put the screws in just to hold the deck firm. Okay, and then there's one at the back. And I think I've kept all the other connectors fairly safely out of harm's way. So that one goes there. And this one goes through a little cable management bit. Oh, there we go. Then this connector here goes to the full width arrays head. And a screw there. Head. That goes down behind the heads. Or the preamp. Head preamp. I'll plug that in first, actually. Just make sure that other part is. The cable isn't going to get trapped, can't see. There's little locating dowels on plastic dowels, for want of a better way to put it, to just get that so it sits properly. I mean, I have to say, it's a very complex machine, but it is actually also very logical. Yeah, I'm very impressed. Like I said, I've never seen one of these before. So, just wondering what screws they were. I'm going to look back at my original footage, I think, before I put anything in there. Okay, so just checking the front loading system now, and I do have a concern. Looking at the left side, everything lines up, so there's a hole here, so I should be able to just push this in And let's just get this lined up correctly. Yeah, that goes straight in. So that's right. Then we've got a line here that goes to a line there, which is, actually looks like it's 1/2 ounce. I don't think it is. No, it can't be, because to get that line to line up, it would have to be tooth to tooth, which it can't be. So that's fine. Down here though, yeah, no, that's lined up. So we've got a hole here and a line here. So that's correct. So that's all fine. What concerns me a bit is in that position, I've got the flap slightly open, but maybe that is correct. So obviously just being mindful of this thing. Ribbon cable again. So right side. Let's have a look. So this gear used to be pointing down, which it is, and that's, let's just check that is correct. Then there's a through hole here, which is correct. Then we've got this gear here, which should line up with the mode switch for the front loading system. So we'll check that in a minute. So I want to lift it up to do that. Then we've got this gear here, which is actually a metal gear there, which is quite cool. That lines up with that, so that's correct. But I'm just worried about this gear here. Front loading mode switch and center projection. So this looks to be out. If I take this off, what happens? So if I take this metal off, this engages the motor, which is fine. But I don't think anything else, no, nothing else should pop off. Famous last words. But I do need to get this in the right position, otherwise, well, we're going to be a bit stuck. Compact cassette rack units. But this is all okay. So what does the flap? Oh, that's all up here. So it would suggest that this is out of time. So it's gear there. Oh, I don't know, that does look a little, well, yeah, so it looks a little bit out. But I need to check this big gear as well, because I can't actually see, I can't eyeball any of the marks. So, yeah, without this cover being off, so I'm going to have to take that off. I was sort of hoping not to have to do that, but needs must. Okay, so here goes. First thing I'm going to do actually is just unplug the some of these connectors. So mode switch is for blue, yellow, and mode switch is for, and is that it? Oh, there's something else there. It's probably a send sensor. Yellow, blue, red. Yellow, blue, red. So, and at the moment they'll be trapped, but when I take this off, they should just come with it, hopefully. So I'll do these 3 screws, Try not to lose them. Favourite thing to do. Oh, this one needs to come out as well. Am I missing something? No. And what I'm trying not to do is potentially pull anything off I shouldn't. Let's just pull that cable through. There's another switch around the back there that I've totally missed. That's fine. Just get this out so it's out of the way. And yes, and that's a connector I missed as well, so this is going to swing out of the way. Okay, there we go. So I need to see how far out that is. So we know this is okay here, I think. Oh, that's where it should be. So I think what I'll do, because that's moved, is actually lock that in place. Just try and remember to take it out before I put it back together. So, yeah, okay. Let's have a look at this timing. Oh, there's a suspect bit of plastic there. So something's broken, which is a bit concerning. But you never know, it might be okay. It might be okay. Oh, I'd be terrible if I sort of fell out the last hurdle, really. It's just the end of the travel. So that should be down. This should be pointing to, there's a protrusion underneath. That should be lined up with that. So this is way out. So yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll just move the camera actually. I won't record it, but I'm going to pull this, well, let's pull this off. I don't think anything else will move. I'll just move that round carefully. That is bang on. Bang on. There's one final check that I've kept that lined up. I have, that's perfectly lined. Couldn't have got it any better, so yeah. So a bit of fluff on there. Very well greased up again. I don't need to worry about re-greasing this particularly. So that goes there. So that means all of this is in the wrong place. The top. But it can't be in the wrong place because, well, it must be in the wrong place. Because that gear's locked, so this needs to come over by quite a few teeth. Which sort of makes sense because that's what's putting the door open. So the door was the clue. The door is partially open in the parked position. So I need to somehow move this over without knocking that timing out there. You've got plastic studs there for taking it off. It's almost like I have to take... How do I do that? Because I always need to take this gear off to move this into the right position, but of course I can't take that gear off to move it into the right position. This is already in the right position, so what do I need? I need this to be, it goes in there, this needs to come over this way by about 4 mil. So if I wind this on, does it let me, oh, what does it let me do? Yeah, so that's where it should be, but isn't. So that's where this needs to be, but this gear is then in the wrong place. Now all right, aren't they? Check that again. Yeah, so this is right, that's right. It's just this is in the wrong place. I think I'm just going to have a quick look at the manual. But that seems to be all that's wrong with it. Plus, obviously, the mode switch is wrong. But I can live with that. That's right at the bottom there. Okay, I'm going to look at the manual and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so I'm a little bit confused, but things are a little bit clearer now. I'd lined up the hole to the protrusion, and that's wrong. It's actually this what they call a protrusion here, but it's not actually protruding. It's just like a blob. So that needs to be facing down. So let's just do that, and there'll be some clunkety going on as I do this. So that should be there. So that's in the right position. Then I believe this should now fit. Everything else is locked. I've locked the gear here and the gears on the other side, actually, just to be on the safe side. So I think this should now fit. And it does. Okay. I did take off the whole motor drive assembly as well, just because it was flapping about and getting in the way, something chronic. But there is a switch underneath, which I'll show you in a minute, that has to come off as well, ideally. It's easy, I just found it easy to take the switch off. There's no real alignment for it. But that is now correct, which is fantastic. So everything else is right. This is all okay. I think this is fine. Not too sure about the door. The door, I don't know what's happening with the door really. The door's now locked, which I think is right. I think the door is supposed to be locked. But I just don't know. I mean, this is the thing. I've never seen this machine work, so I've never seen one. You know, I'm doing this. I'm fixing a machine I've never seen in my life before. So, well, it makes it more fun, doesn't it? So there's the plate, and that's the switch I took off. That's from under here. So I'm going to put this back on. And that went round there, didn't it? So let's get this in before I put everything back together. Just manipulate it a bit afterwards. Goes around there. Right, let's put the switch back in. I think I can remove the screwdriver now. I'm still just a bit concerned that this is out of time, you know. Yeah, anyway, let's put the switch back in. So the switch goes in a bit of a funny angle. Get it the right way first of all. So it's with this black, the PCB facing inwards, if you like, and then it should just go into place, and a little actuator for it there. So yeah, looking inside now, I have I just wonder if that is out of time, you know. Just doesn't seem in the right place. Well, apparently it is. This feels like the rack is in the wrong place. The rack that drives it here just feels like it's in the wrong place. But the timing marks line up, so maybe it doesn't sit fully home. I don't know. It's a bit odd. I did put this back into what I think where it should be, wrongly or rightly. I just very carefully took off one of these off this side, and just got it so it's at the end of the rail. I don't know whether I did that right or whether I've messed that up. See my Allen key poking through there. Can I get that back out, can't I? Yeah. Thought I might have trapped it with the plate. So yeah, don't know. See if I can actually put this on with it in this angle. Probably not. And it is just one screw. It's got little locators, which it's just clicked into. I just don't know whether that's right or not. The other thing I wasn't sure of, I couldn't see it in the manual, is on this side, the front door. So this is the mechanism for the front door, and like I say, at the moment it's actually trapped. I don't know whether it's right that it's trapped like that. I don't know. I'm a bit confused at the minute, but I'll drive it by hand and we'll see what happens. But this metal here is for the door, and it was the other side of this. Now there is a little sort of dip in this, and I think it's supposed to be this side. If it's not, the door never properly closes, and that mechanism, the VHS-C cassette mechanism, doesn't seem to move properly, which it now seems to do, even though I still think it's in the wrong place. So I don't know. This feels a bit weird at the moment. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like I've set this up right at all, but even though the manual seems to suggest I have, it may well be the thing that I have to take it all apart and rebuild it. And by doing that, then I can time it correctly. Sort of doing it half-heartedly. It's like the deck, really. These connectors to put in, so let's get those put in. So they aren't unique, but the motor one is so short that there's no real way of getting it wrong. I didn't unplug the motor one, so... Oh, I did, didn't I? Of course I did. But yeah, there's no way that can reach over there, I don't think. I suppose I'll check back on my video just to make sure. But yeah, that looks right. So, gosh, do I try and drive this? Should I check the mode switch? So there's the protrusion, as it calls it, there, lining up with the protrusion there, pretty much. Yeah, it's there, isn't it? And then we can really see it. There's a little arrow on the mode switch pointing up to the tooth that's lined up with the little line there. So that's how it should be done. This protrusion needs to be to the one side. Yes, so that's actually fine. So in theory this should be working. In practice I'm not convinced it's right, but we'll see. I'm going to give it a wind, I think, and just see how we get on. Oh, here goes. Really sure what to expect. So this is the... Yeah, you see that's not right. Straight away. The door needs to sort of open. So... Yeah, so this was on the right side. Yeah, so that makes sense. The door needs to be slightly open. Of course it does. Because otherwise the mechanism can't come up. So it needs to be slightly open so the VHS-C part can come up. So there it is in all its glory. So let's drive this back. Let's give that a wipe while it's up. Clean as you go. Right, yes, so right, so that's looking to be working. And that's feeling bad. It's feeling like I'm going against something. Now, what's wrong? Something's jammed. Oh, I can see what's jammed. Guess who forgot to take it? Oh dear, can't get the stuff, can you? Let's just pull that out. Could have been worse, could have been something wrong with it. Still doesn't feel great. Oh, it's doing stuff. It's actually pushing a lot of mechanism at the moment. But just making sure this is actually all free. I think something ain't right. Okay, so when I was winding this in, well, as I was winding this in, I did actually forget there's two little latches on the top. It's like to prevent kids or foreign objects or whatever getting trapped inside. I think we're just hitting one again. There's another one to do this side, so there's two places where that needs to happen. What's that? This side doesn't seem to want to come. Oh, re-engaged. This side, yeah, re-engaged. There we go. They do actually give you a place here to run this. I was doing it down here, was stupid because I'm just taking all the grease off, although I've cleaned it quite nicely. But yeah, there's actually a textured plastic bit to actually wind this in by hand. It should be down, but it's not. Yeah, I wonder if me moving those gears by 3 notches on either side of the carriage was actually the wrong thing to do. I don't think they were wrong. What was wrong was how I was aligning the master cam. So I'm going to put it back into that mode. And then back into the like setup, aligned. And then just put it back. That's about it, I think. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that and we'll give it another go. Okay, so I've put the gears, or the transport back 3 teeth, I counted each side, 3 teeth, and that's sitting perfectly now. So I think this front loading system is actually good to go, which is pretty cool. So I will unwind it again. That way, isn't it? And we'll put it in. I'll basically put it back to the timing marks, so where it times as per the manual, because I don't know, like I said, I've never seen one of these decks work, so I'm going to do it to that, and hopefully that'll be good enough. Yeah, that cable does not belong up the top either. So I'll thread that through, but yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so let's get this back together. So goes there. Right, well they're in. It's a bit nerve-wracking pushing them in, and there's quite a bit of resistance there. So this little 3-pin, which I thought might have gone on the top, actually doesn't. It goes down here. And then this goes over here. Okay, so time to put the front loading mechanism in. There's a bit of fluff on there. Now it does, probably for good reason, recommend you take these boards out. But I did actually manage to get it out, so I'll try and not. Where are we actually going? Down here. Yes, it does actually go in fairly well. Just making sure cabling is not fouling anything. Yes, just have to jiggle it a little bit just to get it in. And the screws actually kept in their proper place. They didn't actually fall out at any point, which was pretty cool. Now, they're not actually captive. Yeah, that is not going in. Okay, so I've given the front cover a bit of a clean, and we have to get these so they just clear everything. Pop this back on. And these are actually on little pull-up type connectors, so you pull them out, push the ribbon in, if we can do it from this angle. So. And push down the tabs and make sure they're straight. So that one is. The same with this one. And oh, we have got that cover as well. This thing. So just going to give that a quick clean. So it goes on somewhere under here. decks. So I'm going to put just these long screws back in the front as well, because it's just what really gives the front full rigidity. So on this side as well. So you don't have to take out all those screws. So literally, really, it's just those two. So I think we are in a position where we can try this. Yeah. Okay, well here goes. I don't see why it shouldn't work, but what is bothering me is that was on the printed circuit board underneath, and it must be a piece of mechanism from somewhere where I don't know. I have no idea. It did also have that fell out of the front loading system. I'm not so worried about that. I don't think that's anything to worry about. But the other bit I am. So I don't know. I did have a look, but yeah. So here goes. Well, that's not really worked, has it? So it's saying full size. It's unlaced, which is good, but that front loading system is not right at all. Let's see, full size compact. Full size standby. Yeah, and I can't swap between them. I don't think, because that isn't down properly. I do wonder if all of this is just a front loading system now. I mean, everything is looking much better deck wise. I'm going to try and put a tape in, but I don't think it'll fit. Yeah, so it's still got problems with the front loading system. I wouldn't be surprised. It is that thing that you really do need to take it apart and rebuild it. I know I didn't quite do the whole deck, but that was because the actual lacing side of it was fine, so I didn't have to rebuild that. But you have to take the deck out, and you have to go through the whole timing. If you try and take a shortcut, it ain't gonna work. So I'm happy the deck's working, but we're gonna have to take this front loading mechanism apart again, and like I say, I'll probably end up having to strip it. So I think, because this video must be really long now, I must apologise, but I did want to show as much as I could of working on these decks. They are amazing decks. Mechanically they are a challenge, but they are really good, especially when they work. And these are much more hardy than the especially the early G decks. They had a lot of problems with gears that weren't really up to the job of what they were being asked to do. This is much tougher. It's sort of, you know, a commercial deck, almost commercial version. So I'm going to leave this one here. I mean, we're somewhere near. The mechanism itself seems absolutely fine. We just can't get a tape into it to actually test it. But it did do well, it was in the half lace. It's unlaced. It's where it should be. So yeah, I think if we get this sorted, then we may be somewhere near. But yeah, so with that, thank you very much for watching. Keep an eye out for part 2. It won't be too far away. Yeah, see you in another video. Bye for now.